Hi, my name is Marissa Kelly. I'm back with Michael McGinnis talking about growing our human potential. Thank you for joining us. Hi again, Michael.
Hey, Marissa, how are you? Great to see you again. I love it.
Doing well. We've been hanging out a lot, really getting to know what growing our human potential is about. This one, we're going to talk a little bit more about exactly what products and services you offer and what does that mean in terms of working with you and how that has evolved over time. So let's get right into you. We obviously talked right into all the products and services. We had a series of videos where we talked in depth about the book, different phases of the book. But I'd like to kind of have you summarize what that book is, and then I'll give my take on the book. And if those people who have not watched our series about the book, then they can get a firsthand live review from me.
Oh, outstanding. Good. I look forward to that. No, that's great. There's, first of all the resources are all on the one site, growhumanpotential.com, all one word, growhumanpotential.com. And again, I suggest going there. There's a lot of resources to help educate you free of charge. And that's really what I hope. The purpose really of the book is really to help to connect with people who have an interest in the concept of personal growth, self-discovery. And by sharing my own story, I role model the experience of really coming to grips with what my issues were. In my case, it was trauma. For all of us, we all have different reasons, different issues that we're experiencing, different origins of that. It's just a matter of really coming to grips with that, so that early part of peeling the onion that we talked about last time, really understand what's going on to do it. And then is really just to provide people with an idea of what are some of the resources, very often free resources that are out there, the pros and cons of each, along with the observations along the way. What really is the journey like? It's a challenging journey, but it's, what makes it so challenging, what makes it challenging, and also what makes it worth it, right? And so that's really the culmination of the book is to allow people to be able to peruse, whether it's a Kindle ebook version, a regular paperback hardcover book, the opportunity to really begin to immerse themselves into this topic of personal growth, self-discovery. The most common feedback I get on it is it relates to the fact that I'm a guide and inspiration to those on the journey of personal growth and self-discovery. And I consider it a real honor if I can do that to help others sort of inch forward at first, to really begin to start taking that look within. What I can say and know from my own experience and many others that have ventured in this journey is it's challenging, but you know what? Very often the things in life that we find most valuable have had challenges. Mm-hmm. And for me, when I can come out and say that my life is happier overall, and most profoundly, sort of my tagline that I mentioned over and over again that I came up with. So what summarizes your life, Mike? It's that I wake up every day with meaning, purpose, love, and joy. Compared to in the beginning, where I woke every day with scared, fear, unhappiness, you name it, right? And so it was a direct polar opposite to what my early life experience was. That's the value. We get to take our experience in this life that we have, our life, and really begin to transform it by becoming our potential. And that's really where the book comes in.
Recently, you've been writing blogs and publishing them on the website and also on your LinkedIn. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing there and why you would put this stuff out on social media?
Yeah, and it's that purpose of social media. We're each sharing information we feel is pertinent out there, whatever that is. And what a forum you have today with social media to be able to share information. For me, it's really about sharing tidbits, morsels that are out there that can be used to help fuel, sometimes even trigger somebody's willingness to sort of take that look within, sort of take that leap of personal growth and self-discovery. That's what I really write about. very often I engage myself in conversations with others and through the talks, and I get the questions and I hear what's on people's minds. A lot of time that's what will drive me to want to write about a particular topic, because there's some really great questions that surface. One great example, one was recently, is Mike, you use this expression all of the time, personal growth, self-discovery, and you've defined those really with your frameworks, but you also say be your full potential. I don't understand what that means. And so that's what, I actually just published that on LinkedIn today. So that's sometimes LinkedIn, sometimes on my blog. And just to give you a little snapshot of that, because I think it's so pertinent to understanding this, is that I begin with some examples of people's stories. And one is that, if you were to walk up to a pile of cement blocks and want to just smash them, right? And so if I was to go and do that and I was to try to hit them or punch them or whatever it is, I'd probably have a bleeding hand and a hurt hand, maybe even a broken hand or something along those lines. But nevertheless, I'd realize, it doesn't seem possible. But the reality is that with some training and dedication towards a subject like karate, you can go and out of this thing here, and along with the movements of this, discover that this has so much more potential. And who would guess it, that this little edge over here could actually go through and break a whole stack of these cement blocks on it. To me, that's an example of a simple way of realizing that with any aspect of ourselves, we can really explore and identify ways to really grow and develop that to become and develop greater levels of potential. And so there's a story of a blind gentleman who learned to ride his bicycle in public in traffic. What an amazing thing.
Wow.
And yet able to do it. These things seemingly impossible, right? But they're all possible today. And that's that thing. That's what's meant by it is that imagine is as if you can identify these different elements of self that you have, that you've already do, and then want to be able to expand on that. And through learning and training and developing yourself, but mostly with that belief in yourself and belief that you can be something great, whatever you choose that to be, you can. And that's what I mean by being full potential, is that you can. For me, I never would have imagined that I had that capability in there. And yet my career and life and everything, evidence of the changes I made, ultimately to the point of which a book published, the awards that it's won, the recognition that I've had, all good feelings, but because I worked hard at my life at really becoming my full potential.
You also on your website have some talks, and I know they're all related to the work that you speak about and growing our human potential. The first one is Journey of Self-Discovery. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and why someone would be wanting to listen to this or download it on your website?
Yeah, really good. I do these talks now. Everything's virtual. It's great because there's also a growing audience around the globe, and so virtual allows to reach people from wherever they are. We've become a virtual world, right, with the pandemic. So these talks are really the opportunity to have a smaller group of individuals and the chance from wherever they're at to be able to really talk a little bit more in depth about aspects of personal growth and self-discovery and enlightenment on it. So the primer that I have, the Journey of Personal Growth, the primer, I offer that once a month. You can go onto the website, actually register for it. They're once a month. I have those, and so just register for it, attend, no sales, no obligation, just a little bit more in depth of that peeling of the onion, that first part of the journey, what it's really like, what does it mean, and the chance to really ask questions as the participants and really get a little bit more in depth into it. The other big thing that I'm really after in this, and it's one of the real pushes and motivations for me, is to develop a sense of community. So through these talks and these others is to collectively begin to connect with others of like mind, because I know how important it was for me to really have others that I could be able to connect with, to befriend, to lean on at times on this journey, right? Because we're going down this unbeaten path, right? What is that? A journey, a walk less traveled, or a road less traveled. That
Road less
famous book.
traveled.
Yes,
Yeah.
road less traveled. And it's in that it gets very uncomfortable at times, and to be able to have other people and connect. And so it's really important to know that you're not alone, that there's others out there. And that's another real purpose of the talks. And then there's the formal talks, of which I'll get a little bit more in depth. Sometime there, I'll often charge a very reasonable fee to really just help me cover my expenses on those things. Then, of course, there's talks that I do, invited to events, talks, conferences, either in person or virtually, to really go in depth into a topic that's very relevant to their audience today, and to delve into it as it relates to personal growth, self-discovery, and enlightenment. So the talks are really that aspect of which it's my chance, through storytelling, through being a great facilitator and educator, to really impart upon others some of the ideas and thoughts, but to really engage the participants into conversation onto these topics so that they can begin to feel a sense of ownership and deepen their understanding, and hopefully have a greater concept of what's next for them.
But who are you, maybe, who have you worked with? Maybe give an example of the type of webinar you've given, who you've given it to. So maybe you can kind of resonate with whether it's a single person like me, singular, one person, or, a group of people. Like, are you doing those to all different types of audiences, or is it specific people that you're talking to?
Oh, that's great. And that's why there's this other aspect of what I offer, the life coaching that comes in, because let's think about what you just shared. It ranges from you as a person, right? Wanting something, needing something. Mm-hmm. Sometimes just that one-on-one, the ability to be able to talk, somebody who can really empathize, grasp an understanding of what's going on in your life, and help to be able to sort of guide you to what some of the possible steps and directions that you can take to really go through and deal with whatever the situation is. So, for some, that's of interest. That's their comfort zone, where they want to have that up front, and they often need a little bit more guidance, hand-holding up front. But then there are groups, and this is where very often there are health and wellness groups. They'll come to learn. Somebody will read the book. They'll share it within the group. And then they'll come back and say, hey, we talked about, the book. It's something that we'd really love to have you come in and talk about. And then we discuss, what is the specific interest of your group, the focus of your group. What would you like me to really focus on? And those become some of the events. Other times there are existing conferences of which there are a health and wellness, maybe related conference, of which they need somebody to kick it off with a keynote, a motivational, sort of inspiring talk about personal growth, self-discovery. Then there are others that want to have separate breakout sessions to really come in. Very often, conference setting, a great setting, so to have a keynote, have a conference and discussion. Very often what happens is that I end up providing these evening talks. So, people are done today and want to sort of sit back and connect and really just let their hair down and talk a little bit more in depth about the topics that we talked earlier that day. So it can range. Then, of course, there's virtual, which is where individuals self-select in and out in there. So it's quite a wide variety there, but it often it's inspired by somebody who had really grew interest in it. We've had a chance to talk, and then they often recommend me to a larger group or a discussion. Very often, I've been in conferences in different group settings, of which I'll kick off with the Friday evening discussion, and then Saturday we'll host series of workshops. of which then will do the work. So for those who are really interested, we can then do the work, start getting into the basics with respect to personal growth, taking some of those first steps. What's it look like? Begin writing down, journaling these kind of elements so that people can walk out with a good degree of self-awareness and discovery they've already done for themselves. So that's sort of the variety of flavors it comes from individual one-on-one virtual to these group events.
Yeah, and it sounds like it only takes one person really to get resonated with, these topics that you talk about. It could be the blog they read on LinkedIn, or maybe they read your book on Amazon, and now they want you to come and speak at their office or at a conference. So that's really nice that you have the wide range of offerings in that sense.
One little niche I have that just happens to be something I love to do. It fits with respect to everything I offer, having the whole basic of personal growth and development of becoming your full potential. And that is career coaching. I just enjoy it. I've been fortunate. I've really worked within the talent acquisition environment. I teach recruiting here at the University of California at San Diego. I come to know the game. And what I really love to do is to help people, particularly in transition, that have been, outsourced, laid off from a job, to really be able to get back on the saddle, so to speak, and be able to find their way in this real challenging landscape of finding a job today. And I find I really enjoy it. And it's something that with that knack, been fortunate to be really helpful in terms of getting people to go out and land. Now, your comment also alludes to a real second thing, which is beginning to prepare the younger generations for growth. Well, what's great today is they've gifted us with a different mindset towards careers today. And that's why you see today an average of 2.8 years in a job for the 25 to 39 years old,
Wow.
Right? Because they've learned how to make it work in this ever-changing landscape of jobs, right? With growing competition, global competition, finances, economy, so on and so forth. Companies come and go. What were the big Fortune 500 companies are mere memories, here today, right? And the new ones are growing and emerging as we speak here. And so it's really a matter of really being able to blend the new with the old in terms of here's the new way, but what is it that you do? And it's this whole concept of continuous development, of learning what's next and having this vision of career. To me, the beauty of what career coaching can be is when you coincide it with life coaching. Because really what you ideally want is a career that's lined up with what you want in life and who you are, right? If you can marry those, imagine the fun, the joy, the meaning, the sense of purpose that you can have in your work environment. For too many people, we've accepted I need a job to get money, to pay my bills, so on and so forth. But what if we were able to find a way to combine? It may not happen overnight, but if we take the strides to start thinking about what is the gifts that we can do, that we already have, and what can we develop that could really allow us to better pursue this kind of environment, a job. And I worked with one gentleman, came out as a vice president in a company, said, I'm tired of that. I really want something different, but I'm really good at running a business. And so he really developed his understanding and some of the skills to be able to work in a non-for-profit. And today he's at a very senior level in a major non-for-profit here today and loving every day of his work and career because he finally married together who he was as a person, as a human being, with the opportunity to help others, bringing gifts of being able to run a business and help a non-for-profit run a business. That's the kind of concepts that are emerging today. So as if we can begin to start preparing our youth today to start thinking about a vision for them, who they really want to be, or begin that discovery process so they can help to begin finding where the potential is, where that might fit in these ever-growing landscape of challenges to be.
where can they get more information on this specifically?
GrowHumanPotential.com.
Yeah.
That's right.
Nice.
That's
Right
what
on
it
cue.
is. GrowHumanPotential.com. I mean, it's
Yeah.
there. You just at the top of the page, you'll see things. The book, the blog, the coach. So the coach, click on that, and you'll see about the life coaching, career coaching. Very simple. The process, the fees. The whereabouts, the methodology, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
All of the elements I've attempted to try to put up there is available for you to get acquainted with. It truly would just be an honor for you to touch base and contact with me. And if I can continue to help inspire and guide you wherever you are on life's journey, the ideas and thoughts and considerations for really wanting to grow, pursue some of your own self-awareness and growth, it would be my honor to be able to be there, to be able to help into that capacity. That's what gives me my kicks and giggles. That's why at the end of the day, it's made my life meaningful and with a sense of purpose is utilizing my gifts that relate to personal growth, self-discovery, and enlightenment, helping to be able to guide and influence others.
Thank you again for joining me and talking all about what you offer, who you are as a person. Obviously, if you didn't catch it before, you can order his book on Amazon, Discovering Michael. He also has the other leadership book on the website. All the links at, again, growhumanpotential.com. And I'm sure he would be happy to connect with you on LinkedIn too. So look for him, Michael McGinnis. I'm sure you'll be able to see it. It says coach and author and all of that good stuff. So thank you again, Michael, for your time and your knowledge and sharing your gifts with me as well as everyone who may be watching this at this point.